Hi guys, this is going to be weird because my microphone's like a $3 microphone, so I'm going to try to enunciate everything that I say. I didn't want you to miss out on this lesson, and I'm trying to get done by homecoming week, so you get to hear my beautiful voice talk about rice and pasta. So insert your own jokes. You can pause as necessary if you need to. All right, first off, with the rice that we're going to talk about, uh, basic grains around the world. Rice is the seed of the monocot plant. It's kind of like grass seed. I mean, you've got the seed and you've got the plant. So rice is the actual kernel. So like this is the actual like grain of rice here. It's the second most widely consumed grain in the world after corn, but it's kind of deceiving just because more people live on rice than on corn. But corn is the most consumed because corn is in everything. Like corn's in toothpaste, corn's in Ziploc bags. So people eat a lot of corn, but it's not like they eat corn on the cob for staple supplies. Like rice is the most widely consumed grain in the world, like as a staple meal. I always talk about what would happen if I were a terrorist, and another good way to be a terrorist would be to figure out how to get rid of rice plants. Literally, people would starve. I mean, it's counts for a fifth of the world's overall calorie consumption. Like a lot of people live on rice. Rice provides 20% of the world's dietary energy supply. That's pretty amazing. Like considering out of all of the calories, rice is 20% of all of the calories in the whole world. So that's really huge. And you can see down here that corn's only 5%. There are countries that do have like Central America, South America, Mexico, like they do rely on corn a lot, but I mean overall rice is the most widely consumed grain. Okay, rice production. One of the reasons that the United States is not known for growing rice is because we don't grow rice well. Um, it is the type of crop that takes a lot of hands-on work. There isn't really a tractor that can do it. So typically, you'll see it in like Asian communities where there's like super cheap workforce and super cheap labor, and a lot of people like that need jobs. Basically, what they do is looking at this field here, it literally looks like grass, and it's kind of like if you go back here, like the little, whenever your lawn goes to seed when you haven't mowed it in a while, that's exactly what rice looks like. And then these little kernels, they harvest those. It's not easy. How they harvest it is basically they grow it in kind of swampy, like really humid temperatures. And then once it goes to seed, what they do is they flood it, and then all those little kernels float to the top. They strain it, and they get all of the rice out, and then they have to pull all of the little stubs, the grass, if you will. They have to pull it all out by hand, which is done by this lady in the cute hat, I guess. So it's super like labor intensive. Uh, every country in the world has rice, but like I said, unless you have some cheap labor, you're not doing it in high volumes. I know they've started growing them in like California. They're trying it in the United States, but really they do more like fancy schmancy kind of rice that they serve to like restaurants that do organic foods and stuff. It's not a huge product in the United States because we don't have a lot of these hats. All right, cooking rice. First of all, rice is dried, really similar to like pasta or flour, so you have to rehydrate it. Um, Rice cooks by absorbing liquid. How it does that is it absorbs twice as much liquid as it does rice. So what that means is the ratio of cooking rice is 2 to 1. So if I want 2 cups of rice, I put 1 cup of dry rice and 2 cups of water, and that will eventually give me 2 cups of rice, if that makes sense. Rice doubles as it cooks, and cooking rice can be kind of tricky too. Rice is super high protein. It's not a complete protein though, and we'll talk about that more when we get to the protein unit. So rice is great to eat with other things like beans and vegetables, and that's one of the reasons that like Japanese diet is so healthy is because they get the majority of their protein from vegetables and from plant sources like rice. Different types of rice. There's like a whole lot of different types of rice. They're categorized by how they smell or their aroma and their length. There's short grain and long grain, and that's pretty much it. Brown rice, and I have some of these in bags. I'll lay them out for your sub and they can pass them around. Brown rice has the husk attached. The husk is kind of similar like to the bran that we've been talking about on the grains. So the husk is attached, so brown rice is high in fiber. It's got a weird, more earthy taste than white rice. It's kind of like whole grain bread as compared to white bread. So like when you go to Chipotle, try doing like half brown rice, half white rice. That's usually what I do, and you really can't tell that much difference, and it's like a good way to incorporate fiber into your diet. Parboiled rice is just like it sounds. It's partially boiled rice. This is like Uncle Ben's minute rice. Rice takes a long time to cook because it's dried and it's really, really hard. So parboiled rice, what it does, they partially cook it so that all you have to do is basically rehydrate it. Like they've cooked it, they've dehydrated, and that's why they call it minute rice, is because it literally takes a minute once you add boiling water, so it doesn't take very long. Wild rice is not rice at all. They look like little black sticks, and again, I've got some to pass around. Wild rice is actually a grass seed. It's not a rice, and it takes like an hour to soften up and cook. It's some serious roughage. You could break your teeth on it. Actually, Charlie did break his teeth on some wild rice when I cooked it one time. That's not a good story, but that actually happened. So it's super, super tough if you don't get it cooked all the way. Arborio rice is my favorite. This is risotto rice. It is a short grain rice that has almost like a starchy coating on the outside, so when you cook it really slow, it almost makes its own creamy sauce. It's really, really good. Jasmine rice. Arborio rice is like Italian. Jasmine rice is more, you'll find that in India. It's really, really aromatic, and it's a long grain rice, and it's designed to not stick together. Indian rice and Mediterranean rice, they don't want it to stick together. Asian rice, they do want to stick it together because they eat with chopsticks, and it's really hard to eat one grain at a time if it falls apart. So just different cultures. Basmati rice, another really high aromatic rice, long grain rice, real fluffy, doesn't stick together, and it is usually found in like the Middle East. So here's this video here. It's a dude talking about California rice and how they're trying to grow it, and good luck to them. Okay, preparing rice again. It's not easy and it's totally different from pasta, but it's pretty much the same universally.
All varsity softball players, please meet in room 82 at 3 today.
That's actually not for you. Sorry. Okay, so bringing water to a boil, you want 2 to 1 again. 2 cups of water per cup of rice. You bring the water to a boil first. Then you add the rice. You're going to cover it and then lower it and cook it on super low heat. It has to be covered and it has to be on low heat, and you cook it for 20 minutes exactly. And if you do it correctly, all of the rice, the water will be gone and the rice will have absorbed all of the water, and you just fluff it with a fork and eat it. Alright, now pasta. This is like my favorite way to eat carbohydrates. It's made of unleavened dough that's created when you take flour and usually water, sometimes milk, but it's almost always water. The difference between a pasta and a noodle is an egg. So in Asia, they eat more noodles. They're egg-based. Italy, Europe, they eat more pasta, which is literally just flour and water. The shelf life on pasta is indefinite, meaning it will outlive you and I. It's one of the few things you can set in your pantry. It never expires. Pasta is classified in 2 ways. It's either fresh or it's dried. Most of the time you get it, it's dried in the package. You can get it like in the refrigerator section where they're fresh. And then you only have to boil them for like 3 minutes. But they're the kind of packages that you find like in the refrigerated aisle. There are a zillion different shapes of pasta, but it is literally exactly the same stuff. There's no difference between fettuccine and spaghetti and lasagna and macaroni. It is all exactly the same. Exactly the same. So the pasta designs themselves are designed to hold pasta, or hold, the sauce. So like angel hair is designed for really light sauces, like an olive-based sauce, And like really heavy stuff like lasagna noodles are, designed to support all that cheese and sauce. So it depends on, you pick the shape of pasta based on what sauce you want to serve it with. Oh, I just said this. Spoiler. Noodles contain eggs. Pasta does not. Where rice doubles in size, pasta triples in size. And so you want a ton of water. Ton of water, little bit of salt, and then you drain it. So the cooking time depends on the size of the pasta too. So that totally varies. Again, dry pasta can be stored indefinitely. Here is a video about different types of pasta, and it's this crazy guy who calls it pasta. It's going to be annoying. And that's it. I will be back Wednesday. Tomorrow you guys are going to look at some different cereals and compare the fiber content in the different cereals. And so make sure that you turn your crossword puzzles in, because that's kind of a formative for your vocabulary. So I can give you your 2.0 test coming up. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Bye.